What's up, YouTube? Welcome in finally to part 3 of Horizon Zero Dawn with a therapist, where it's almost bedtime and we get to wake up and see what the next day has for us. I am so grateful for your support of this playthrough. Thank you for all of the awesome comments that you have provided so far. I hope that you continue to write a comment or two for this and all future episodes. Please make sure that you follow all the links in the description. Come hang out with us on Twitch sometime. Leave a like and engage with the content the best way that you know how, because it really does help get more eyeballs on this stream. Check out my other playthroughs as well while you're waiting for new episodes to come out if you're not binging it. But however it is that you are watching this or wherever you are, thank you so much for your support. Let's see what happens here in part 3. Y'all better not watch me sleep. All right, now that that's taken care of.
So, your first day in Mother's Heart. What do you think? You've never slept in a Nora Lodge before. Not very private.
It would be a pretty interesting experience. God, all right, we're off to a start here almost immediately. Something that fascinates me a bit about everyone here is that it seems to me that everybody has some degree of empathy or understanding of the outcast experience, despite perpetuating a lot of the norms associated with the outcast experience. And what that really puts into light for me is the pervasiveness and the power of the people in power, the systems that are essentially in place to perpetuate a lot of these dynamics, which I think some could argue are oppressive, particularly to outcasts. So it's like when you get somebody one-on-one, it's a lot easier to empathize with them and engage with them because you see a person, as opposed to the thing that they've been objectified to be, which is outcast. But this person has had a significant amount of empathy and can immediately say, like, yeah, this must be so different for you, and yet still participates in a society that makes it so that an outcast would be uncomfortable in this space. And I am less inclined to get too hard on Vala here, as it's more of an indication of the way that the societal structure of the Nora is developed, such that outcasts are objectified by people without much critical thought around that, and that makes me sad. I mean, that's going to be something that we illustrate consistently throughout these playthroughs. I'm guessing is a lot of people doing stuff and thinking stuff because that's what they've been told they're supposed to think and feel, rather than actually thinking for themselves on this stuff and creating real change in these systems.
Comforts and distractions. That's what I think.
Not all comforts are bad.
Comforts are weakness.
You sound just like my mother.
Comforts are weakness. That's a very interesting line. One that I don't have a ton to say about right now, but I think that's something that we're gonna see in a lot of the ways that Aloy moves through the world here. My guess is that part of that comforts or weakness comes from this idea that she's been driven really for the most of her life by discomfort. And this idea that like being comfortable means that you are essentially off your guard makes sense, but I think you'd want to be very careful not to overly associate comfort with weakness, because then that means that you don't get the time to like actually sit down and enjoy some of the fruits of your labor and stuff like that, which really is important for all of us to do. Let me see people saying that the volume is a little bit low, so let me see if I can fix that. Hopefully this does it.
You can always go back to living in the wilds if you have to. In the meantime, get some rest.
Braves! Ready yourselves! What will it take to get you out of here?
It's a grazer!
Okay, just because I think my last analysis was really sloppy because I was attending to a bunch of other stuff, I want to take a second and expand a little bit more on the comfort is weakness thing. Because I want to make sure that it's clear that, like, I'm not casting judgment on Aloy for the fact that that's a perspective that she has. It's one that makes a lot of sense. And it's one that I really wish that I could be curious about with her and ask her more about. Of, like, what does that actually mean for you? Because my guess is that she probably attributes that with essentially, like, settling. And means maybe she's not working hard enough. Like, there are a lot of people that will tell you, like, if I'm not uncomfortable, it means I'm not working hard enough. Sometimes that's true, but so much of this stuff is so contextually dependent. There are times where being comfortable is an outcome of the fact that you have put in a significant amount of work, or that you have put yourself in a particular position. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are other times where people could push themselves and don't because the current space they're in is comfortable. And so there is some differentiation, I think, between like emotional comfort and physical comfort. But comfort as a concept is something that has an immense amount of nuance to it. Some people would say that comfort is a goal. Other people would say that comfort is indicative that you are not pushing hard enough toward another goal. Neither one of those perspectives is necessarily right or wrong. They're just contextually dependent. And I'm guessing what that means is that Aloy has essentially said to herself, I'm not stopping until I know that I've got this thing in the bag. And so any indication that I'm comfortable means I potentially have work I need to do or other stones to turn over. And I think that's okay given the fact that she is so focused on making sure that she accomplishes her goal here. And she doesn't really have anybody else that she's accountable to, especially since Ross left. So I just wanted to expand on that a little more because the last one was real sloppy. Is the volume better?
Got it!
Whoa! I didn't realize these were going to stampede in here. douche.
Your trophy is shattered, outcast. Looks like you'll need another.
You want to know what institutionalized depression looks like? It's right here. There are some folks watching this video right now that totally understand what it is that Aloy just experienced. And there are other people who are watching this video right now going like, oh, that's awful. But yeah, she can push through that. The odds are completely stacked against Aloy just by virtue of who she is / who she's been decided to be. The wider system, the institution, has decided that because she is an outcast, she does not have some of the rights, privileges, and benefit of the doubt that other people are going to get. So she gets a trophy. She works her ass off. She has busted her ass. She gets the trophy. She holds it up, and that kid shoots it out of her hand. Generally, most of us would say, well, that sucks. But the people in positions of power, in this case, that guy with the weird haircut, has essentially, he embodies the societal system as a whole that's decided that outcasts are unworthy. He's the person that could do something about that because he's in the position of power, and he doesn't. He says, oh, too bad, guess you're going to have to get another one. And anybody who essentially doesn't hold all of the highest forms of privilege as it relates to their identity knows exactly what Aloy just went through. Because running into that buzzsaw is one of the most helpless experiences that a person can have. Where you know that what you did, you worked your ass off, you've done everything right, and by virtue of who you are not given the benefit of the doubt, and you are held down by people in positions of power who are threatened by your existence in some kind of way, likely because they've been taught to be threatened by your existence, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because if Aloy freaks out and goes and yells at that guy and attacks him, or whatnot, then she could be disqualified from the proving. So when people say that marginalized folks and people who don't have privilege have to work exponentially harder to get into certain spaces that people who have identities that give them privilege get into, that's what they're talking about. It's having to deal with this bullshit. Aloy is perfectly qualified to do it, but she has to work hard to get over the hurdles of oppression in order to be able to show herself as being equal or more advanced than the people who are there just by virtue of who they are. That's the extra work that people are talking about. That is a perfect mini microcosm of what it looks like to have to deal with that buzzsaw. And it's something that people with privilege don't think about. Like me, for example, holding all of the identities that I hold, I never have to worry about this. But somebody like Aloy has to worry about this because she doesn't fit what the gold standard is of what people are looking for. And unless they intentionally work to make this an equal playing field for her, it's not going to be. And that's very unfortunate. And it means she has to work that much harder just to get where this other kid was. That kid can act like a douche and there's no repercussions for it. Whereas if she did something like that, she'd be screwed, probably disqualified. So keep that in mind, friends, when people talk about this stuff. Now, she could choose to get really frustrated by this and shut down. And some of us, I think, would say that's perfectly understandable, but this is her goal and this is what she wants. So she's going to bust her ass here and she needs to direct this energy into doing what she needs to do in order to overcome this. It sucks because one of the things is that she has to manage here is the reality of the situation that she's in. She can't live in la la land about this of like, oh, this is a land of equal opportunity, because right now it's not. She's having to deal with the very real inequality that's baked into this system when she tries to perform. And so this is why it's so important for somebody like Aloy to get into a position of power in somewhere like the tribe, because she can really work to reform some of this shit so that people behind her don't have to deal with it. It's why it's so important to have diverse representation in positions of power. Right here.
Come on. I've got to catch up.
All right, let's go.
Catch up.
Oh, we're catching up, Aloy. You can do this.
Slow and steady now. All you need is to finish. That makes all but one. Is the outcast coming?
She was behind me.
Looks strong. Dead last, girl. Might as well walk from here. Boss will win, or Vala, but you'll be made a brave so long as you finish. Oh, now, that's an old trail. 2 died on it last year. It's falling apart. Better dead last than dead altogether. Whoa, 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 whoa! By all mother, are you crazy? You're gonna kill yourself! It doesn't get any easier! You're insane to go that way! That's it.
No way but forward
Just
now.
stop right there.
There. Gotta catch up.
Turn around and climb back.
Who's in the lead?
You don't want to
I can't see. Box, the baller right behind.
Come on now. Faster. Stop dragging. Gotta keep going.
The outcast.
On the old trail?
Is she crazy?
Good. I'm gaining.
Look! The outcast is catching up!
How'd she get up there?
Made it. Come on now. Hurry. Keep at it. I've trained my whole life for this. They had a tribe, but I had the wilds.
Oh, yo, shit. All right, sorry, Aloy. Okay. Oh boy, I trained my whole life for this.
Made it.
Death.
Come on now. Hurry.
Oh
Keep
man, my hardcore run is officially over. Oh man. Man, I was just about to say some stuff too. I appreciate Aloy's self-talk here. I like that she's staying
My whole life
focused.
for this. They had a tribe, but I had the wilds. Precision. Not enough. Must be perfect. Come on, you can make it. Can't let them beat me now.
Woo! They're gonna say I cheated, watch.
She didn't win! The outcast cheated!
An outcast? Win the proving? Never. For she is a brave now.
All right.
As are you all. So long as you put your trophy on the altar. But it is Aloy. Once outcast, and now brave, who is first among you.
Ah!
Holy shit! What?
Aloy!
Keep them pinned down till the others arrive.
We can't stay here. That's the way out. But we won't make it under fire.
They can't shoot if they're dead. Keep them busy. I'll find an angle.
Fast! Fast! Are you with us?
I'm with you!
Let's go. Now!
Jesus! I was about to pause it, do a whole thing, and then it just rained arrows. Good Lord. Okay. So, we're gonna go backwards for a second here. Just for a second. I appreciate it's one of those things where, like, when we look at rigid adherence to rules and norms, I am a fan of when that essentially backfires in the favor of an individual over a system. So one of the things that's really cool sometimes about rigid adherence to certain principles is when individuals are in a position to essentially use those things against the system that perpetuates them. And what I admire in some ways about the Nora is even if they have certain rules that an outsider might not particularly agree with or like, they are principled. They are consistent for the most part in how they stick to them. So like Rost acknowledging and appreciating the rules for what they are, and then this woman at the end of the proving who was essentially like, no, this outcast won fair and square and she's now a brave. That's at the very least, I give the Nora a lot of credit for that. Because if we had gotten to the end there and that kid says that Aloy cheated, and then that woman says, never, an outcast will never be a brave, then what the hell is the point of having all of these customs and traditions and way of buying yourself back into the tribe? So from the Nora's perspective, that adherence to the rules and essentially forcing others who are adhering to the rules to accept Aloy after she has managed to get that accomplishment is a step in the right direction in terms of representation and getting people to see that outcasts are capable people in the same way that people of the tribe are. And so I appreciate that nuance there, that they do stick to their guns. Sometimes it's a problem, but they also will follow through on things that they have decided are necessary. And a lot of that is instilled in them probably from the start, just by virtue of how they're raised. And so I think that that's a cool dynamic to have included here. So, all right, let's get back at it. This shit's crazy. Thanks for being here.
Too many of them! We can't win!
All right, shut the hell up, dude. We just won the proving. Kind of wild that Aloy's just comfortable killing people that quickly, huh?
Quick! Run for the slip wire!
Kill them all! No witnesses, no survivors!
Keep fighting!
Oh no! There's more! They keep coming! How many are there?
Quick, gaping and get her!
They keep coming.
Oh my god. I'm a one-lady army.
Too many of them!
Don't run out now.
We can't hold them! Oh, Mother, help us!
Now, descend while we have a chance.
This dude literally has a gun?
The red hair dies now! Everyone, forward!
God damn it. Oh, what a shot.
Let him sneak away now. Cut down the door.
Holy crap.
Snow chill. Itches.
That's what you have to say after all the death and destruction you just witnessed, Aloy? Oh god, this stuff's itchy. Oh, wow. What do you think of the fact that Aloy was actively standing up against the intruders while the others just hid away? I think it makes complete sense. See, Aloy was actually ready for what it means to be a brave because she grew up in the wilds. She actually got training. She fought machines. She hunted. She had to learn how to survive with Ross aiding her. She actually possesses the skills that are required of a brave in order to survive that process of what just happened. My guess is that those other people that competed in the proving liked the idea of being a brave conceptually, but it's probably one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, like you become a brave, but you know, we all know what that actually means. It's more of a title. Without actually being prepared for the adversities that are possible here. Like running on a trail for 5 minutes after shooting chickens isn't exactly indicative of your ability to withstand actual legitimate attack. Going through all the shit that Aloy went through growing up is what prepares you for that kind of thing. So this is also where we find that people who come from nothing, so to speak, who actually legitimately learn their way through the world and bust their ass in order to survive it, are going to fare better and are far more likely to be able to handle an adverse situation like this better because it's been represented to them and they've had to feel themselves work through it rather than just conceptually think they know what it means to work through it. Like, title versus actual experience are two very different things, and that showed itself here. I'm not blaming the other people for dying here. We got surprise attacked here, and they simply weren't prepared. And that's indicative of the system that they're embedded in, more so than it is their work ethic. But Aloy was legitimately prepared for that. She grew up on the streets. She didn't grow up on top of the hill thinking about how, oh, I can get one over on anything because I just think I can, because I've never actually had anything difficult brought to me. Aloy has seen some shit, and it prepared her for this moment in a way that she just immediately went on autopilot and survived it. That's a testament to real world experience. If you want to be somebody who navigates adversity effectively, you actually have to navigate adversity. You can't just think about what it would be like to navigate adversity. You got to put yourself in some challenging situations and push yourself, and that's what Aloy did, and that's why she survived. Also helps when you have a real sharpshooter at the helm, you know what I mean? But this is really interesting to me because I don't know that Aloy has ever seen like this kind of human death. This is the kind of thing that she would likely process after the surge of survival gets done, where now she has to basically go like, oh my God, like, what the hell just happened here? What have I done? I just slaughtered a mass of people that were trying to kill me, and all the people I was just with are dead. Is anybody even gonna believe me? I mean, I would think they would, because the bodies are here to prove it, but this would be legitimately difficult, I think, to process. You gotta make sure you loot them, though. If for no other reason than to have proof that they showed up.
Forget about traveling light.
Man. Just amazing. Talk about trial by fire. Kick him in the nuts, Aloy. Jesus.
Turn your face to the sun, child.
Hey, what up, homie?
Burn it all, then to your task.
As you command.
Aloy. Aloy. Survive.
Holy shit.
She is dying.
To take her there is blasphemy! She should be near her mother.
I'm so sorry. Turn your face to the sun, child.
Rost. I have to get out of here. I need my focus. No. Rost.
It's so interesting playing video games now as a therapist, as opposed to when I used to just kind of like mindlessly play them. We just watched Aloy experience trauma. Trauma is an experience that is in gross violation to your expectations that is coupled with a lost sense of safety and security. That is literally what Aloy just went through. And it's an event in this case that is going to drastically force a new set of expectations and worldview on Aloy, essentially without her consent. And it's devastating for a lot of people. And one of the indicators of the fact that Aloy experienced this as a trauma are the intrusive thoughts, in this case in the form of dreams or visualizations of these instances. But one of the things that's beautiful about the way that this is represented is that we don't see Aloy processing those memories as they were. They are different than what actually happened. She processes Rost from a different angle. She processed the turn your head to the sun in a different way. These are all the ways that her brain is trying to make sense of what happened. And one of the things that went on for Aloy here is her brain would have picked up so many of the contextual variables around that series of events as a means to protect her in the future by essentially giving her a physiological response when one of those associations is in the environment. And she is now left to pick up the pieces of that trauma. One of the most profound aspects of trauma is that it's unfair. Aloy didn't ask for any of that to happen. It's not at all how she was expecting that day to go. When she woke up in the morning, she wasn't expecting that she might have been expecting she'd win the proving, but she wasn't expecting that there would be an onslaught of hunters. She wasn't expecting that she would watch Rost, her father figure, show up, let alone die in an explosion. So the fact that that's even a possibility has rocked her world. And she's gonna be off for a while here, because now not only is she gonna have to grieve the loss of Rost, she's gonna have to grieve the loss of the other people that were with her. She's gonna have to figure out what her narrative is around it, and the chances are her narrative is gonna be skewed because of the trauma. But you can't put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak, on this. Her expectations and lived experience has been rocked, and now she has to pick up the pieces from it. She can't go back to what it was like before she had that experience, and that's one of the difficult things about trauma when people are going to process it. So it will be interesting to see how that experience affects her going forward. It's tragic, man. It's hard to watch that. Like, that hits hard. Like, we literally just watched Aloy have, like, the worst day of her life. Like, I don't know about you, but that's painful for me, just from an empathic standpoint, to watch that. Like, yeah, is it intriguing from a story standpoint? Sure, but like, goddamn. Imagine that. Something you've been working, and I think it's really important for us to engage around these things with a significant amount of empathy. Imagine this for a second. You want an exercise in empathy. You spend all of your young adult life, your teens, your preteens, your teens, and young adult life, training for one very specific day that you only have a limited understanding of. You get to that day, you survive that day, and you accomplish your task. And then everybody around you dies from being attacked when you had no idea that those types of people even existed in the first place. Might as well be aliens. And then your primary formative attachment figure shows up in that immediate time of distress, which is probably exactly who Aloy would want to have show up in that time of distress because he's their attachment figure. And then he gets stabbed and disintegrated by an explosion while you watch as you fall from a cliff. Jesus Christ. I have nothing but compassion for Aloy right now. Brutal to have to experience that. And so to ask Aloy to just steel herself and, okay, well, now we just have to pick up the pieces and we just have to move on, Aloy. It's one of life's many adversities. You're just being challenged. You're not being thrown anything you can't handle. Like, to take that perspective is bonkers. Like, the perspective that we want to take here is one of being very real and really understanding and appreciating the impact of what this is going to have on her. Her entire world has been rocked here. To expect that she's just going to be fine and work her way through it is ridiculous. We have to acknowledge that, like, if this profoundly affects Aloy and she's shaken to the core for a while, that's part of the process. And so if you've ever experienced a trauma yourself, you had damn well better not look back on yourself with judgment on how you processed it. Because to ask somebody to experience a traumatic event like that perfectly is ridiculous. That's the whole nature of a trauma. She didn't have the resilience and lived experience and expectation to be able to navigate that in a way that wouldn't be traumatic for her. In some ways, it would be sad if it wasn't traumatic for her because it means she's experienced enough shit that she could just file that into the drawer. Like, we literally just watched Aloy have the worst day of her life. And now we're gonna learn a lot about her in terms of and how she's been socialized and raised and how she navigates this going forward.
Saved me. They must have found me before I bled out. But why is no one here? Where am I?
Okay. Now, I do want to point out one more thing. Which is that when we talk about attachment, and seriously, I encourage people to watch my video on my YouTube channel about attachment theory if you haven't, because it's going to help you understand what I'm about to say in a lot more sophisticated of a way. You can generally tell who or what a person's attachment figure is by what they seek proximity to in times of distress. We often look at attachment figures as being people, but attachment figures can also be things. Aloy is certainly distressed by the fact that Rost is dead, understandably so, but one of the first things that Aloy reaches for when she wakes up and is experiencing the rush of consciousness here is her focus. Her focus is essentially her teddy bear. And that piece of technology is something that has been consistent and reliable through all of her years. It was with her even when Rost left her. So the distress that she's experiencing in the absence of her focus is indicative of the fact that that focus is a core piece of internal stability for her to have it present. It is essentially something that she has an attachment to. You can be attached to things. Some people get attached to work. Some people get attached to a certain item. Some people, like, there's any number of things that you can get attached to, because the reality is we get attached to things that are consistent and reliable and in proximity to us when we get stressed out. And in this case, that's what's happening for Aloy. And it's why it's so important for her to find it.
I need to find my focus.
Oh, there's technology on this door in here?
My clothes. Good. But where's my focus? It's here. Okay. Wait. Am I inside the sacred mountain? But only matriarchs are allowed inside. I don't see my bow here. Or that damaged focus, the one I took off that killer. Where are they? I should keep looking. I'm not gonna find it here.
There's a bunker door in here. Alright, let's check this other room real quick.
I should be on my way.
Just because I want to explore this environment a little bit and see what's up.
I'm picking up some kind of signal. Looks like the ruins I fell into when I was young. The Nora didn't build this place. The old ones did. But why?
Great question, Aloy. It's one of the things I hate about RPGs is I don't want to miss anything.
There. With the rest of my things. Must be the damaged focus. The one I took from that killer. It's close. Now, what can you show me? Ah!
All commanders, halt excavations and proceed at once to the mission point. Avoid all contact with Nora savages. But if you are seen, kill every witness. Target imaging attached. Do not fail.
Target imaging.
Who says I'm like other Nora?
They saw me through Owen's focus. How is that possible?
Then make it quick. I'm heading in. Hold for identiscan. You need to stop listening to Ted and start listening to me.
Where's this from? And when?
Oh no, is that my mom?
Are you my mother? Why try to kill me just because I look like you?
Maybe they. Oh boy.
Aloy, you are awake.
You brought me here?
Quickly, you must follow.
To where?
To the place where you were born.
Are you saying I was born here? Inside the mountain?
It is easier if I show you.
Well, Tirsa, you're gonna have to hold on a second because I want to see what's in this vent. Holy crap.
Some kind of power cell. I wonder what it's for.
Find a use for the power cell. Okay. Damn. All right.
Why did you bring me here?
Shit. No spoilers, Cryo.
Is my mother here? Am I going to meet her?
It's complicated. Please, just follow me.
Thank you for the raid, homie. That still counts, Cryo.
Does my mother look like me, but with short hair?
I don't see how that could be. You were not born of a woman, Aloy. The mountain is your mother.
What? What are you talking about?
Come.
What is this place?
The Great Chamber, where All Mother slew the Metal Devil and gave birth to you. Aloy, the Proving Massacre was just the first of many disasters. The war party we sent after the killers was ambushed and slaughtered.
But what does that have to do with where I was born?
My hope is everything. This is where we found you. We heard your cries, came to look, and there you were.
Just lying there?
Yes.
You mean I came from behind the door?
Always, that is what I have believed. That you came from the womb of the mountain. A gift from All Mother herself. But others, like Lansra, feared that a darker power put you here.
What? Okay. Before this conversation continues, I do actually, this is a really good point. I think we can all empathize with Aloy's face right now. I will remind folks, please do not spoil anything. If I don't know something, don't say it. If you're not sure whether I know something, stay away from it. I know it can be tempting, but this is a blind run. So just keep the spoilers away. All right. So this is a really good opportunity for me to talk about how inductive reasoning plays a role in how we process information that we have absolutely no context for how to understand. So the phenomena in question here is one day, everybody's just chilling in the mountain, and all of a sudden there's a baby crying in another room. And these fine folks of the mountain walk into the room, and there's a baby just laying on the floor. Now, that is probably an experience that nobody saw coming. So it is literally as novel of an experience as Tirsa and the others could possibly have. And so what so many of us do in these moments is exactly what Tirsa is describing. We use what's called inductive reasoning in order to make sense of what it is that's happening. And what that means is that we use our own lived experiences and limited knowledge to apply an explanation to a phenomenon that we don't understand. So the way that Tirsa, for example, inductively reasoned Aloy's existence was the mountain must have a womb, and the mountain gave birth to you. Because she understands the concept of a womb, she understands the concept of birth, she understands what a mountain is, and she's like, the best I can do is put those things together and say that you're here because of that. Another person said, this is demon spawn. Because the reality is nobody actually knows. And the reason that I'm pointing this out is because in some circumstances, arguably in most circumstances where you have a novel experience that you really don't possess any knowledge to be able to understand, you should just say, I have no idea why this happened. As opposed to creating a bunch of explanations that are really just extrapolated from what you got. Because it creates all these conflicting stories around something and certain expectations as a result of it that may end up missing the mark and create, in this case, an entire conceptualization of who Aloy is that may or may not actually be true to her experience. So this is what it looks like to have a group of people inductively reason their way through a novel experience, arguably to the detriment of the person who is the beneficiary of that experience, which is Aloy. The reality is we just don't know what happened. So if you're sitting here and you're having this internal conflict of like, what the hell is even happening right now? That's okay. You don't have to know. In fact, I would argue that the game's doing a really great job making us confused along with Aloy and with Tirsa. So many of us desire to know things because if we know, then it makes it a lot more palatable. We don't have to sit in the anxiety associated with it. The reality is this is a moment where we just need to sit in the anxiety of like, we have no idea. And that anxiety of and not knowing is not an indictment on who we are as people. It's an indictment on the situation and the fact that we had something come across our desk that we were not expecting was going to come across our desk. Don't be the type of person that tries to act like you know what this is. Own that you don't know what it is and then engage in a process of trying to figure it out via curiosity and knowledge and research rather than just saying, well, it feels like it's this. That doesn't make you smarter.
Not a gift, but a curse.
But this isn't a goddess.
Aloy!
It's a door. With people behind it. My mother?
Hold for identiscan.
The goddess speaks.
Just like the woman I saw.
Error. Alpha registry corrupted. Identity cannot be confirmed. Entry denied.
No, no. Please.
Aloy, All-Mother spoke to you, as if she knew you.
Were you not listening? It didn't recognize me.
Because of corruption. The goddess's own words. Surely, if you heal this corruption, she will see you clearly.
And how would I do that?
You said you've had visions. Of a woman with short hair.
The killers came for me because I look like her.
But their power is overwhelming. Is there no other trail to follow?
Owen. He was one of the outsiders. The night before the proving. The killer saw me through his eyes. He lives in Meridian.
So you will have to leave the sacred land.
I've been an outcast all my life. Why not an exile too?
Shh. There is another way. Come, and we will make it so.
You said the tribe is on the brink of extinction. What happened?
We'll answer that question in a second. But again, just to really drive the point home, it's fascinating because we look at that door and we see the like facial scan and we hear the automated voice, and anybody watching this video is thinking to themselves, well, it's just technology. It's just a security door. Facial recognition didn't pick it up, so the door didn't open. It's because we have knowledge. It's because we've been exposed to sci-fi. It's because the concept of a security door is something that's readily available to most of us. But if you put yourself in the shoes of these people, where technology is something of the long forgotten past, all of a sudden, that door is no longer a security door. It's the all-mother of the mountain. It's more spiritual. Because that's how they have to make sense of what this big, booming voice is. It's a deity. And this is magic, or her blessing, or whatever it may be, right? Like, so much of explanations of the world and religion and spirituality is essentially derived from people filling in the gaps of the unknown with the limited information they have via inductive reasoning. If you went back into, let's call it the 1400s, with some of the technology that we have today, it would absolutely blow people's minds. You might even be seen as some sort of like God or something, because there's just no frame of reference for what it is that you're bringing. And so all of this is completely explainable. It's understandable. Like, I'm not shitting on these people at all. Like, it's completely understandable why these are the conclusions that they drew. The problem is, if you actively stifle research, knowledge, attempts to gain a more objective understanding of the world because you desperately want to hold on to what was inductively derived, you drastically stifle progress. Now, all of a sudden, you start to have a lived experience that is in conflict with the expectations that you have been told you are supposed to have for the world. That's where we start to see some real clashes, because you're going to have people that potentially walk into this mountain or see these technologies like Aloy picking up the focus and going like, well, this is really cool. We should figure out more about what this is. Like, let's do some research. Let's learn about the world that we live in. And you have other people who are like, no, I've already been told what all of this is, and that makes enough sense to me that I don't want to experience the dissonance around what it would mean to actually progress this forward. So we're going to hide all this technology from everybody, and we're going to create a very single story, and we're going to hold them into this very tiny camp, and we're going to make sure that people just kind of do what we already know works. And then all of a sudden you start having gigantic generational divides and all sorts of other stuff, because the structure that is very limited in the way that it explains the world is inherently going to be pushed against by the reality of the experience that people have within it and the desire to know more about it. So this is a real mirror of some of the stuff that can happen in real life. And I'm sure many of you can read between the lines on some of the stuff I'm talking about.
A great war party was sent after the killers. Less than half survived.
Not good. I don't like that.
How was the war party defeated?
The killers do not fight alone. Somehow they have a power over the machines, corrupting them, driving them mad.
So the killers got away?
Yes. And now the only plan my sister matriarchs can agree to is to sing the Hymn of Atonement and beg for All Mother's mercy. As the
case in point. All right, we just got attacked by people with technology who can control the robot animals. Let us pray. That'll fix it. Like, at some point, that becomes incredibly detrimental to the survival of society as a whole. Like, at some point, we have to be like, yo, maybe we should do some research. Maybe we should get some science going so that we know what we're working with, so that we can actually survive this and understand it better. Like, how infuriating is that? Instead of like trying to implement real change and dumping resources into understanding the world and diversifying what it is that we understand, let's just throw some thoughts and prayers at it, as if that's going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. That's the whole reason that they got one over on us here in the first place, is we just keep clutching to this very archaic way of understanding our world while other people are like moving on and exerting force on us as a result of it. Like that is exactly the point that I was just making 5 minutes ago when she says, okay, yeah, all they can agree on is to just pray to the All-Mother for forgiveness or whatever the hell. Like, that starts to ring really hollow when there's no results that come from it. At some point, you have to be results driven on this stuff.
She would not want us to help ourselves.
Then, what's your plan?
This was my plan. To show you where you were born and loose you to follow the destiny All Mother intended for you.
No pressure.
The other High Matriarchs are waiting for us. Let me do the talking.
It is done?
Yes. I showed her. Sisters, the goddess spoke to Aloy. Told her to heal the corruption.
Ha! But how is she to do that?
She will have to journey beyond our sacred land.
A seeker? If the goddess spoke, it must be so.
You would name this thing a seeker?
Sister!
For once, Lansra, join with us.
This will be your sin, not mine. Send her seeking, and may she never be seen again.
Okay, yeah, frustrating, yes. But I get it. Aloy is super upset about this. It's understandable. She's being talked about as if she's an object. But in the interest of the spirit of what it is that we do here, I want to slow this down for a second, and I want to get into I'll use a technical term with you. It would be called multi-directed partiality, which is essentially where we're going to try to get into the thought process and experience of each person that's in this hollow right now. We just learned 5 minutes ago that the way that Aloy showed up in the world was essentially immaculate conception. Like literally, she just showed up on a metal floor in the middle of the mountain. That is distressing. Pretty sure that if tomorrow morning you woke up and went into your garage and opened your car and there was a baby in there crying, you would probably be like, what the hell is this? And let's say it's like a baby of a species you've never seen before in your life, just to add some extra pizzazz to it. Like, it's literally what happened here. Like, they're like, what the hell is this? You have no frame of reference for how that type of thing would happen to you. So they have all oriented themselves to this differently, understandably so. And because they just don't possess the kind of knowledge that they need to possess in order to make sense of this in a sophisticated way, they're all left to their own devices here. So Jezza being averse to Aloy and being like, this thing is understandable. Is it fun? No. Is it attentive to the humanity of Aloy? No. But does it in some ways make sense? Yeah. Because for all that woman knows, Aloy's like a machine. She has no idea what Aloy is. Now, we could make the argument that she could be curious about Aloy and try to learn more about her, for sure. But her immediate aversion to Aloy and wanting her to be something that they hold in high regard, particularly in her old age, which means that she's seen a bunch of stuff and is probably relatively cemented in some of the ways that she looks at these things cognitively, it makes sense why she's averse to this. And I'm not saying she's right. I'm not saying we have to agree with her. But in order to really understand the complexity of this moment, we have to find it in ourselves to be able to empathize with where that woman's coming from. She's probably scared and she's confused and she has no explanation for why Aloy would show up and why the All-Mother would talk to her and what that means. She's probably scared because her tribe just got decimated by a bunch of hunters. And Aloy is somebody that she can associate with the fact that those hunters showed up. So if she has the greater good of her society in mind, then it would make sense why there is a bit of an aversion to Aloy, as hurtful as it may be for Aloy to see. And not that I expect Aloy to get into full empathy for that, but if Aloy could find it in her to have that perspective, it might soften the blow a bit on how this woman is interacting with her. Tirsa has taken more of an empathic approach on Aloy. Tirsa has decided that this was like a blessing, and that Aloy is a person who is capable of achieving this destiny and learning more and all this stuff. And so she has oriented herself to Aloy in a different way than Jezza, who has perceived this as being a curse. So it's, again, this is why when you don't have a unified explanation for something that's built on data and science and observation and the accumulation of knowledge over years, you get this fragmentation within people who are in positions of power. And it makes it harder to make certain decisions on things because we're working off of belief and faith and hunches and emotion as opposed to real known data and variables, which if you've watched any of my playthroughs, you know that I am a massive fan of working with as many known variables as you possibly can. And the reality is right now, those hunters killed people in the Nora tribe. Aloy was spoken to by the robot or the All-Mother, or whatever you want to call it. There's an opportunity for her to go out as a seeker, and that's something that can be contemplated and discussed. Those are the variables that we know, and those are the ones that we should be working with.
Aloy, by the holy grace of the One Goddess, we hereby anoint you a seeker of the Nora tribe.
No barrier can now stay you from your sacred task. May All Mother protect you and sustain you. Stay true. I will make ready for the hymn. Our hopes lie with you.
Tirsa, what's a seeker?
You are. And here is your mark. In times of great need, the High Matriarchs may anoint a seeker. A worthy brave sent forth to accomplish a great purpose. No matter where that purpose might take her.
Even beyond the borders of the sacred land?
Yes. And with the right to return when you are done, or as the need arises.
"48 hours ago, people could be excommunicated from the tribe for talking to us because we were outcast. Literally 2 days ago, nobody in the Nora tribe wanted anything to do with me in any way, shape, or form. And now I am an appointed seeker on behalf of the matriarchs with the pressure of finding out all that is good and holy on their behalf. No limitations. I'm essentially a specter now. Why this feels weird for me and kind of misses the mark as an observer is the matriarchs are making no attempt to understand just how jarring that has got to be for Aloy. Like, we literally perpetuated a system where you were untouchable in the worst way. And now we have anointed you untouchable in the best of ways. And there's no like, hey, we realize this is a lot for you. We're going to work really hard to make sure that people understand how to get on board with this. If there is anything that we can offer in terms of information or support, we are here for you. We realize that this is a lot of pressure, that there are so many things that you just started to understand how the Nora work in the first place. The lack of empathy for Aloy's experience in here is hard to watch and connect with. It, to me, feels as if people in position of power have realized that Aloy's existence is convenient for them and thus are bestowing all of these arbitrary titles upon her in order to essentially carry out their own agenda. Which makes sense. So it kind of sounds like people in positions of power that aren't thoughtful about their constituents. But if you're Aloy here, this is so much shit at once with like no support, and you're essentially being thrown out to the wolves built on a foundation of something that you don't even fully understand yet. So if you're a person that's in a position of power to bestow this kind of thing to somebody who potentially has like shown themselves to be particularly adept at a skill in the workplace or whatever, you've got to approach this kind of thing with empathy and support and actually get into the shoes of a person like Aloy who's taking this on, rather than just basing it off of this whole idea of like, well, Aloy should be proud to be this because we've vaguely decided conceptually that this is something that she should be excited about, because it completely negates the lived experience of Aloy up until this point. She's not really a Nora in the spirit of what it means to be a Nora. She was raised outside of the tribe and has really no reason to respect the customs other than she just is trying to get answers about her mother. There's the lack of empathy from Tirsa and the others to Aloy's experience makes this very alienating for Aloy. And in some ways, it makes this journey tragic as much as it is empowering for her. I mean, there's some real complexity here that I appreciate, but like, man, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if anybody else watching this feels that, but I really wanted to voice that because, like, as I'm watching this, I'm just like, this could be handled so much better. So much better. It needs explanation. It needs support. It needs empathy. It needs validation and acknowledgement. It needs that. You can't just solve problems without that stuff.
So many have suffered. Is there anything I can do to help?
What is most important is for you to fulfill the purpose All Mother has intended for you.
I don't know what that means any more than you do.
Then you must find out. If, however, you sense that part of your purpose is to help the tribe, by all means do so. I have no doubt you will find people in need throughout the Embrace.
Have there been other Seekers?
There have, but they are rare, and most who set out are never heard from again.
Was Rost a Seeker?
No, not a Seeker.
What are you not telling me?
This is not the time, Aloy. Perhaps another day.
Do I even need to say anything? You all know how much I hate that. Hey, go do this thing for us. But I'm not going to give you the information about the person you're closest to who you just lost. Work with me, Tirsa.
What was done with Rost's body?
I'm afraid there was very little left to recover. But what there was, we buried at the place where he raised you, with flowers on the grave.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, and here's okay, because I can just hear somebody, or I can see somebody in the comments saying, well, Dr. Mick, you said before in other playthroughs that people aren't entitled to information about people prior to their existence and their connection to you. Correct. However, that's not what Tirsa's saying. Tirsa's not saying, I'm not going to give you that information because that's not your information to know. She kind of said that the first time. She didn't say that here. What she said is, this is information that at some point you're entitled to, just not right now, and I'm gatekeeping it for some kind of arbitrary reason. That's different. Like, that's Tirsa saying, you can have this info, just not right now. And that, to me, in this specific context, is shitty. Like, you could afford to give the information now. If I'm Aloy, my first question is, why not now? What makes a year from now different than now? Like, I'm pushing, especially because Aloy interactionally has way more leverage now. She has way more leverage now. Because she is now needed. She's becoming increasingly indispensable to the tribe. They have bestowed power upon her. I think it would be perfectly reasonable for her to use some of that leverage to say, no, you don't get to dodge that. Give me that information. Because if you've just anointed me as a Seeker, and my conceptualization of Seeker is wondering if Rost was, and you tell me he wasn't, he was something else, but now's not the time to tell me what he was. No, now is the time. You want me to help out? You're going to give me a little bit of information here. Even if it's just, all right, I'll give you the basics and we can go into it more later when we have time because this is an urgent matter. But give me something. You don't get to gatekeep that. I respect if she said this is information that you are not entitled to at all. Because either I made a promise to Rust or because it's just not your information to have. I respect that. But when you pull the not right now card, that's just her wielding power for the sake of wielding power, as far as I'm concerned. Because otherwise, she needs to explain exactly why she's not disclosing it right now. If she said now is not the time because if I disclose that information, it's dangerous to the mission and I need you to trust me on that, okay. But she didn't even say that. She goes, no, just, now's not the time. I'm just not going to tell you. There's a nuance to this type of stuff. Your boy ain't happy with how Tierce's handling that.
So I can go anywhere at all. No restrictions.
Even to forbidden places, like the tainted lands beyond All-Mother's sight, or the ruins of the metal world.
I see.
Nice.
Why are the lands beyond Nora territory called tainted?
Is it not obvious? Our land is sacred. We live in sight of the one goddess, All-Mother, source of all that lives. Beyond her sight lies a vast fallen land, spiritually tainted. That is why it is against tribal law to leave. But the Seeker blessing will protect you.
This is going to be like a 40-part series because I swear to God, every time somebody says something, I have something to say about it. So I appreciate you all riding along with me on this, okay? Because, man. Okay. Again, to be empathic to their experience, they are working with a limited deck. They're working with limited information. I respect that there is a cultural narrative that they have essentially built their entire existence and survival around. I do. I understand and I respect that. I do not want to sound like I'm coming in here with a bludgeon just saying everything these people do is wrong. That is not what I am suggesting. But this really does provide so many opportunities for me to illustrate the interplay between individual micro lived experience and the macro cultural experience. Because that languaging is incredibly important, friends. Incredibly important. The Nora have built a story. They have embedded their culture in the idea that anything that the All-Mother sees is sacred. It's a powerful word. It is sacred. It's holy. It's to be cherished and appreciated and valued. Anything that the All-Mother cannot see is tainted. Well, that creates a binary. And it creates a binary where essentially the association is anything that comes from the tainted lands is not condoned by that which we pray to, and thus is hostile, dangerous, problematic, etc. So it essentially boxes the Nora into a homogenous experience, and it pins them against other aspects and people of the world that they live in. It's a lot of interpretation on behalf of the All-Mother. That's a conversation for another day where they get to speak on behalf of the All-Mother. But the reality here is that they are creating an us versus them mentality just by virtue of the ways that they conceptualize the land that they occupy. And that is how we get people into massive conflict. Because the Nora are claiming to know something about other people and other parts of the world that they don't actually know. They've just decided conceptually and arbitrarily that those lands are tainted based on the way that they've inductively constructed the narrative of their world. It is incredibly regressive. From a survival standpoint, it works. They get to keep the tribe together and they keep it very homogenous. But from a let's figure out how to actually meaningfully occupy the planet that we're on, it really works against them. And it's all embedded in language, which is why we never want to dismiss the power of it.
Why are the ruins of the metal world forbidden?
They are blighted places, Aloy. Dark and wicked, like the children of metal who built them. When they rebelled and tried to murder All Mother, her wrath leveled their cities, but could not cleanse their sin. Their ancient spite haunts those ruins, ready to ensnare anyone foolish enough to enter them.
But I've been in a ruin. It looked a lot like the inside of All Mother.
That cannot be so.
It is.
Then, this is something beyond my understanding. I will trust you to reveal the truth.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I wish I had a heart rate monitor on, because you all would have saw my blood pressure spike. I felt it. I felt the physiological spike in blood pressure. Oh my God. It has, all right, you guys are just, this is going to go on YouTube and it's going to live forever, but whatever. This has the vibes of like boomers telling millennials and Gen Z what it's like to buy a house. Like, that's just immediately where my mind went. It's like, oh yeah. Like buying a house is easy. You just gotta go to college and get educated. You can just buy a house. You just buy it. And Aloy's like, no, I can't. And she's like, it cannot be so that an educated person like yourself can't afford a house. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Normally in any kind of situation, aside from this one, I could dismiss this conversation. Okay, I could dismiss it and I could be like, whatever. She thinks she knows something. But my friends, why this is so deeply important and why I am taking the time to talk about it for a second is because the difference is Teersa is in a position of power and influence. Teersa has been decided by virtue of all sorts of shit that she and the other matriarchs are in charge. They can make the call. They develop the norms, the rules, the rituals, everything around this that drives the decision-making of their constituents. So when Aloy says the inside of the mountain looks a hell of a lot like the old metal ruins that you all claim are cursed and problematic, and she goes, that cannot be so, and says that so steadfastly, that is awful from the position of you have people in power acting like they know something about something that they don't know about. Literally making decisions about what people can or cannot do, to the point that you can be excommunicated from the tribe for going. You can become outcast from the resources and survivability of the tribe if you go down into those metal areas, because they're cursed and the All-Mother hates them, and we know that it's evil. We know it. And Aloy's like, no, it's not. It looks exactly like the inside of the mountain. And she's, no, can't be. That's terrifying, because this woman's in power. If she's just an old lady that lives in her house and yells at the clouds, I don't give a shit. But she's in power. People are beholden to the rules that she and the other matriarchs make as the result of these arbitrary inferences that she's making about something that she doesn't know about. This is why it is so important that you get new blood in positions of power, and why you have people who are willing to speak up and diversify the experiences that people in positions of power have. Like, yes, did she admit, okay, maybe I don't understand it? That's great. But it took Aloy, somebody that she just said is now in a position of power relative to the tribe, to push against her based on her lived experience. And luckily, she gave her the benefit of the doubt after she initially did not. That's why, like, I'm so damn passionate about this, because this is the kind of thing that affects people in real life. Is people in positions of power acting like they know about things that they have zero lived experience about and making very real world decisions about policy and stuff because it's off of some sort of inference or belief as opposed to actual data. That is scary. It's scary here. It's scary in real life. And it affects all of us. And seeing that and hearing that just makes me cringe because of how parallel that is to real life. Oh, it's why it's so important to have diverse identities and lived experiences and knowledge and all this stuff in positions of power, because you are more likely to hit the mark rather than having a homogenous group and story.
You said the Nora sent a war party after the killers.
Yes, but it was ambushed and overrun. Very few escaped alive. And most that did were wounded.
Do you know where the killers went?
No, but you could ask Varl, one of the braves guarding the gates of the Embrace. He survived the ambush. He would know more.
I should be on my way.
From here, you must go to the gates of the Embrace. Speak to Varl, and he will point the way to Meridian. If any Nora tries to stand in your way, Aloy, make sure they know you are a Seeker.
Oh, I will. Thank you, Tirsa, for all you've done.
May All Mother bless you and watch over you.
I really hope there's a memo that goes out to all of the Nora tribe that says when Aloy, 48 hours ago, outcast, says to you, I'm a Seeker, believe her. Because, can you imagine, if I'm Aloy, my first thought is, Tirsa, nobody's gonna believe me. If it was that easy, if I go up to them and go, I'm a Seeker. Like, I need something that shows that I'm a Seeker so that people actually take me seriously. This is what I'm talking about. Like, the lack of empathy for Aloy's experience, the lack of understanding of what it means to be Aloy and occupy space in this area, it drives me insane. Like, it needs to be so obvious.
Nora faithful, we will soon begin. Purify your hearts.
You have a mark on your belt.
Soon we will beg forgiveness for the sins that brought such misery on the tribe. When we
All right. So I missed that. Good, because you got to do that, because like, what the hell, man? Otherwise, like, you're really throwing me to the wolves.
hear the matriarchs lift their voices, we will join ours to theirs.
Wash away the scent for now.
Oh my God, there's too much talking at once. I want to listen to all these things, but I want to listen to them one at a time.
The miracle of All Mother that you survived.
Oh, look how compassionate everybody is toward me now.
Only matriarchs are allowed inside the mountain. High Matriarch Tirsa made an exception for you, but that's over now.
We will fight the corruption till the last of us is fallen. I fear that time will come too soon.
That's the other thing that's sad, right? Like, you essentially have to give Aloy a badge in order for people to care about her. It's just really an indictment on humans, like in how we just classify people and we make all these decisions about people that are just so arbitrary. Like, that's the kind of stuff that sometimes keeps me up at night and just drives me crazy. That, like, all of a sudden, because this old woman who we have bestowed power on for whatever reason decides that Aloy matters now everybody's just compassionate and nice to her. Like, that's all it takes. is endorsement from a matriarch for people to all of a sudden see Aloy as a human as opposed to this like dirty outcast. It's really sad. And it's also exactly how life works, and it's awful. And I really wish that all of us would choose to be better as it relates to that. We're all guilty of it.
Closed off the valley. We're Nora. Nothing could make us leave the sacred land. Goddess, I pray our hymn reaches your ears. Goddess, forgive the Nora.
All right.
All our songs turn to silence. Strongest lie dead and wounded. The machines are frenzied.
These people are all looking for answers, man. That's why it's so important to be...
She saved many lives. The tribe is lucky to have her.
Yeah. Yeah, 48 hours ago, you wouldn't talk to me. I saved your asses. Because I'm a good person. Do better.
You survived. Many were saved because of you.
She saved many lives. The tribe is lucky to have her.
Hampson, I'm sorry to hear that. I encourage you to go to questions for Dr. Mick in the Discord and ask me there. Kind of awful that the narrative to all the Nora that's coming out of this is you sinned. That's why this happened when none of these people did anything wrong. Again, it's all a way to control the narrative and to influence people in a certain direction. It's, yeah. It's a means of control. I mean, intent doesn't really matter so much here. It's the impact that that kind of narrative has on people.
I need the gate opened.
Then you'll have to talk to the new war chief, Resh, up on the wall.
Up on the wall, I was just there.
Be safe with grandmother. Whatever happens to me, you'll be safe.
Just grabbing some supplies.
Please, hear our song.
I do appreciate all of you being here, by the way. Those of you that are here on Twitch that are live with me, thanks so much for being live with me and keeping me company and saying some cool stuff and engaging with me around the playthrough. Those of you that are watching this on YouTube, thank you as well for supporting this playthrough. I hope you're enjoying it. I know it's funny to me how we're only getting like 20 minutes into each episode and we have 2 hours worth of content, but the game is actually more dense than I was imagining it would be before we started, and I'm enjoying it. So thanks for being along for the ride with me. I am really grateful for it. Panda, thank you for the 47 months.
Aloy! Aloy!
I'm right here, bud. I'm right here.
Be praised. You're alive.
Inside voices, Teb.
I heard the rumors, but I didn't know for sure until I saw you just now. I'm glad to see you're okay. And you're even wearing the tunic I stitched for you. I'm honored.
Am I?
What are you doing here with a bow and spear, Teb? You're a stitcher, not a brave.
Most of our braves are dead or wounded, Aloy. Someone has to defend Mother's Watch, so I thought I'd help out. I should be okay. Just as long as I don't try to run any brave trails, right?
Oh, come on, Aloy. You can laugh about that. Give him... We could use some levity here. I like that he could be self-deprecating. You know, I don't often get a chance to talk too much about this when we do these playthroughs, but I'm going to tell you what, friends, there is real value in self-deprecation. I'm not saying that you have to just completely hound on yourself all the time, but sometimes the mark of healthy self-esteem is the ability to make a joke about yourself or to take a joke every now and then. I really appreciate that Teb can laugh about that. It shows in some ways that he has made his peace with it, that he understands it in context, that he realizes that it was a learning experience. Like, I think sometimes people take themselves a bit too seriously as it relates to that stuff, and you actually can perpetuate a sense of insecurity and over vulnerability on things that don't need to have it when you take yourself too seriously around stuff like that. The fact that Teb's like, yeah, man, I really screwed up when I did that trail back then, and, you know, as long as I'm not doing that again, I think you can laugh with that. There's a real warmth and confidence about his ability to be self-deprecating there, and there's a real utility to that in terms of how we conceptualize ourselves and interact with others, and it's a skill that I really wish more people would learn, because it's sometimes easier to go through life and some of the harder parts of it if you can take a bit of time to just laugh at yourself rather than just constantly beat yourself up for things. But I digress.
What sort of rumors did you hear?
That you were wounded, expected to die. And then High Matriarch Tirsa insisted that you be allowed to heal inside All Mother. Huh. That caused a stir. Only matriarchs are allowed to enter the mountain. But you deserve the honor. The survivors had told everyone how you fought to save them.
I wasn't the only one to fight.
No.
Kinda were.
They spoke of Bast and Vala, too.
And Rost, the man who raised me. He fought to save me, and he died for it.
The survivors didn't speak of him, but I remember him. He was there that day when you saved me. I remember he stepped in front of you when my father started yelling. If by dying he saved your life, Aloy, I don't think he regretted it.
He's doing well. Again, you don't have to express the sentiments of the dead. I'm really not a fan of when people do that. You tend to miss the mark more often than not when you do that. Like, just leave it at, that must have been really hard or something like that. Like saying, like, I doubt he regretted it. It usually encroaches a little bit too far into a zone you don't really want to go into. So don't express the sentiments of the dead. Just acknowledge the impact that somebody had on somebody, and acknowledge Aloy's experience more so than trying to reach to understand Rost. I know it comes from a good place, but you're more likely to miss the mark than you are to hit it on that.
I need the gate opened.
Do you have any idea how dangerous it is out there?
I need to pass through.
Yeah.
You'll have to talk to Resh then, up on the wall. He's the new war chief. I'm not sure he'll help you.
Why wouldn't Resh help me?
Well, he says mean things about you.
That I'm a motherless curse, an outcast, that sort of thing?
Yeah. I wish he hadn't been made war chief, but Sona disappeared after the ambush. They say she went after the killers all by herself.
Who is Sona?
Sona was the tribe's war chief, but she went missing after the war party was ambushed. You probably saw her at Mother's Heart. A tall, lean woman with dark skin and long white hair. Her daughter ran in the proving, but she died.
Was Vala her daughter?
Yes, she was. I liked her.
So did I. What's the danger in the embrace? Are the killers still there?
No. They're long gone. The war party went after them, but the killers slaughtered them. They have some evil power over the machines. They corrupt them, make them fight at their side.
And these corrupted machines, they're loose in the embrace?
Some have broken through. And from what I hear, It's even worse outside the Embrace. Believe me, this is no time to go traveling.
I'll make that decision for myself, Ted, but I appreciate the worry.
I should be on my way, Teb.
Be safe, Aloy.
Great. Can't wait to talk to Mr. Warchief.
The outcast approaches. Ignore her. Continue the report. There are rumors of a demon loose in the Embrace. A thing of dark metal that corrupts every machine it touches.
Where did it come from?
They say it broke through the gates of the Embrace.
Who is they?
Varl and his followers. They tried to stop it, but the demon was too fast. Too powerful.
Varl's a fool to defend that gate. It is here at Mother's Watch that we will make our stand.
So far, 8 groups have arrived from Mother's Heart to join the Hymn of Atonement, and more are on the way.
Good. All true Nora will lift their voices in song.
Is she still here?
I don't care.
Surely the Carja Faithless would not turn on us again.
This is a tricky spot to be in if you're Aloy, because do you say to him, I wonder how the matriarchs would feel about you calling me outcast, given that I'm a seeker? Like, you could pull that card. 'Cause essentially, at this point, this guy is in violation of the code of conduct of being in the Nora. He has gone from being somebody who is perpetuating a cultural norm to somebody who is now cutting against it. And if you're Aloy, you could potentially use that to your advantage. Interesting how an act of solidarity with the tribe now becomes an act of autonomy against it just by virtue of the fact that my title has changed. So arbitrary, but again, I'm all for using systems against people who seek to continue to oppress within it. So you could really get one over on this guy by going in that direction if you're Aloy. Let's see how she handles it.
I need the gate opened.
Since when has any outcast's need been my concern?
That's seeker to you, idiot.
Since I was anointed a seeker. Now open the gate.
You? A seeker? Have Tissa and Jezza gone insane? Bad enough that they let you run in the Proving. But to nurse you back to health inside the sacred mountain? No wonder a curse is upon us and children lie dead under cairns of stone.
He is acting like a douche. Yes. I agree. We, by virtue of the fact that we play as Aloy, we empathize further with Aloy. It's a lot easier for us to be like, wow, what a douchebag. If you really want to dig deep here, I would venture a guess that this guy has some reason beyond just surface level decorum for why he is nasty to Aloy. Does not excuse him. Does not make it okay the way that he treats her. But for us to approach this guy, if we were going to try to work with him and get him to a space where he treats Aloy better, calling him a douchebag isn't going to be the way. Saying he's a curmudgeon-y asshole who's not giving her the benefit of the doubt, he's not going to lean in if you do that. He's just not. Because people generally don't do things unless they have good reason to do so. Unless there's a decision tree behind it. So his attacks on Aloy, the chances that that comes from pure evil is super, super low percentage. It could be anything. He could have had a wife or a daughter that looked like Aloy that got outcast by the tribe unfairly, and he associates her just by the way that she looks. He could have been, his family could have been killed by outcasts, and he's making a generalization toward Aloy. Like, there's any number of reasons why he's acting like this toward her. it's not Aloy's job to figure out what those things are. I'm not suggesting that Aloy has to deal with his nasty behavior just so that she can crack him open and get in there and have a better relationship with him. But if you actually want to work with somebody and get them into a space where they're willing to lean in a different way to a relationship dynamic, that's what you have to do. You have to seek to understand. You have to approach with curiosity, as difficult as it may be. You can still hold him accountable for his behavior. But if you want to get there, if you don't want to deal with it, you want to call him a douche and go about your day, you can certainly do that. But if you want his behavior to change, if you want his orientation to Aloy to be different and more accepting, then somebody, either Aloy or hopefully somebody outside of Aloy, has to be willing to say, hey, dude, what's going on? What is this about? Like, your behavior toward her doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I want to understand where it's coming from. And then you work with that. You make the unknown known. Empathy's not always easy. Sometimes you really got to dig deep and you got to be curious, and times you don't want to be curious. So we're gonna kill him with kindness a little bit here. Instead of saying you're a nobody or watch your tongue, those are very antagonistic. To say you dishonor the dead is to use some of his adherence to the principles of the tribe against him here in a way that potentially gets him to back down, and it doesn't make me about me versus him. It's a little more sophisticated of a way to engage with him here.
How can you be so heartless? I fought beside those children, shoulder to shoulder and back to back. I saw them fall.
If even one of them had been true Nora, they would have put an arrow in your back. Resh, come on. Silence! I am your war chief.
And I am a seeker anointed by the High Matriarchs. So open the gate, and I will be on my way.
The sooner you're gone from here, the better.
What was that?
Oh, shit.
The demon! Sound the alarm!
Whoa.
By the goddess, what's it doing to them?
Taking control.
Dude, that thing is creepy.
Brace yourselves!
Holy crap!
What have you brought on us now, you motherless curse? Kill them, Braves! Kill them all!
Yes, it is my fault. Yes.
Braves, ready yourselves! Today we fight a curse! A demon! Oh, Mother, give her strength!
Won't be long. Gotta get in position. Here it comes.
Attack! Watch the Striders! It's driven them mad!
Alright, we're gonna take out the ads first. Dude, some of these arrows like don't want to fire. I don't really understand. Whoa! Dude, this thing is... Oh my goodness.
It's down!
Woo!
These things marched with the killers at the Proving. How does a machine like that take control of all those Striders? How'd you do it? Show me. You made them obey you. But how? This. You did it with this. It's connecting to my focus. Then I could use this. It's worth a shot. Couple loops of wire. Looks like it'll hold. I just need to test it.
Aloy, how did you do that? You killed that demon. Pulled its guts from the carcass.
The way it controls other machines. I think I figured it out. But I need to test it on a machine.
Plenty of Striders along the path to the gates of the Embrace, I guess.
Exactly. And the gates are where I'll be headed anyway. I need to speak to Varl.
I always knew you were different, Aloy, but...
But what?
I think you're a blessing from All Mother. No matter what Resh says.
Thank you, Teb. But I have to go now.
I know you do. And my thoughts go with you. Good luck out there.
I want that gate
Stay
repaired
safe.
immediately. I don't care if you have to bandage it together. Get it done.
That was a fun fight. Get this stuff looted. All right, where's Mr. War Chief? Hey, Mr. War Chief, what do you think about that, huh? Huh?
I'm done speaking with you, outcast.
Okay. No, I'm done speaking with you. Whatever, I don't need him.
I need to find a machine and see what this device can do.
Howdy, partner. Oh, I'm not really care about that. Dude went from standoffish to swipe right pretty quickly. Deadpool, thanks for the 32 months.
Striders. I can test the override device on them. Should go in quiet. Didn't go through all of this to wind up trampled by a frightened herd.
And we will do that on the next one. Friends, thank you so much for sticking around through part 3. I appreciate that you made it all the way to the end. If you haven't put a thumbs up on the stream yet, or if you haven't left a comment, please do so. I appreciate so much that you take the time to go through these. I can't wait to see what happens in part 4. If you're waiting for the next episode to come out, I'll get it out as fast as I can. If you're binging, I'll see you right over in the next episode. Thank you for all of your support. It means a lot to me. Come hang out with us on Twitch sometime. Follow all the links in the description, and I'll catch you on the next one.